fellow travelers along the path of the beam. I am known on this level of the tower as Jaime and Fuego, and if it please you, join me here for a bit of palaver on Hail to Stephen King. That's right, my favorite author, as you can see by all of those books behind me, that terrifying tower of sorts. Welcome to the horror show. You can just call me Fuego for short, and this is the show that I do every terrifying Tuesday and every scarific spooktacular Saturday. So gracias for joining me. So very happy to have you here. And so 5 years ago, we had perhaps the most unnecessary remake of the entire Stephen King pantheon come out in the month of October 18th, 2013 to be specific. We had so much other stuff going on, from the Nightmares and Dreamscapes anniversary to, boy, the 35th anniversary of the Dead Zone, I believe. We also did the for the 20th anniversary of That Pupil, and so there was a bunch of other stuff to cover. So the one thing that I did not get to do was the comparing CARRIE controversy of sorts. And so for the 5-year anniversary of this, I just got done rewatching, the Chloe Grace Moretz version of CARRIE. And so the reason I say unnecessary is because we've had so many incarnations of CARRIE at this particular point. I mean, the original 1974 novel, it's what put Stevie K on the map, you know, the dude who I so affectionately call El Rey, Cy King. But for me, it's not one of his strongest novels. King really found his footing with his follow-up release, which was Salem's Lot, at least in my opinion. And he had been honing his skills and just doing all kinds of badass stuff with the different short stories and stuff that he was putting in, like Cavalier and other publications and stuff. But gotta say, I've never been the biggest fan of CARRIE. However, when Brian De Palma got the rights and did this 1976 film, it basically launched King into the stratosphere. Now, when it comes to De Palma, I would probably go Scarface, or I would go, honestly, for me, his most badass film is easily Phantom of the Paradise. If y'all haven't seen Phantom of the Paradise, that is my shiznit, yo. Oh my gosh, it's just damn good. It's basically like a weird 70s reimagining of Phantom of the Opera, and it's got a bunch of badass original music in it. Jessica Harper will win your heart over in it. She's tremendous. It's a really damn good movie, but I digress. So that's an iconic film. You know, it's got some weird stuff in it. It's kind of goofy and hokey at times, you know, like some of the montages of the gym teacher training the girls and stuff like that. But honestly, Sissy Spacek's performance is tremendous. And so for that reason, I still hold that film in high regard, and I really love how De Palma shoots the final scene, well, not the final scene, but the big final confrontation where CARRIE gets all the pig blood dumped on her, and he goes into these multiple shots all transpiring at the same time as CARRIE is raging and, you know, destroying everything in the gym and killing all these different kids and so on and so forth like that. But then in 1988, we had this Broadway musical that came out, and then it ended up going off-Broadway in 2012, and they changed some things up. I actually did a review for Films That Forgot the Face of Their Father about the 1999 sequel, The Rage Carrie 2, which honestly for me, it's like Carrie Pie, American Carrie Pie, or something like that, because it's got a couple of the peeps who were in the American Pie franchise. I like that movie a lot better than this movie, honestly. But yeah, so in 2002, Brian Fuller, the guy who did Dead Like Me, which is really awesome, Pushing Daisies, which is incredible if you have never seen Pushing Daisies, got canceled after 2 seasons, but it was essentially the concept of this guy who, first time he touches, he can touch something and bring it back to life, but if he touches it again, it goes right back to being dead. It's pretty dope concept. And then he also most recently did American Gods. Everybody loves him for Hannibal. But in 2002, he did this television film that was supposed to be a backdoor pilot for an ongoing series, but didn't get the ratings, wasn't successful. I prefer that to this film also, even though they changed the ending and CARRIE lives at the end and all this other, and again, they were trying to make it an ongoing series, so hence the intent there. But so, and then Until I'm Blue in the Face, you know, Riverdale, even earlier this year in April, did a CARRIE musical episode themselves. Yeah, the Archie Comics adaptation, CW silliness, I don't know. But for whatever reason, in 2013, they felt the need to get Kimberly Peirce, the Boys Don't Cry director, and Remake CARRIE. So with a woman's touch, although still scripted by men, which was kind of funny. They brought on Roberto Aguiar Secasa, who did an incredible job with Marvel Comics adapting The Stand, and I have sung the praises of that countless times. It's even better than the miniseries. It's tremendously done, terrifically illustrated. It's super cool. So they bring him on. He actually has a history with the Archie comics and runs stuff down there, and he's behind Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, not the new series on Netflix, but the source material, the comic that it's based on, taking her into spookier territory and stuff like that. So he does the original version of the script where they were saying it was going to be more faithful to the book, but they end up still cutting out so much in this movie, and it's pretty much like a carbon copy of the original movie, except in my opinion, not as brilliantly stylistic, not as scary, you know, and with performances that are nowhere near as good. So, I don't know, unnecessary. They ended up bringing Lawrence D. Cohen, the guy who wrote the original script for De Palma, back to do a polish on the script, and I would imagine he's the one responsible for, in the end, this being just says as so much more vanilla than even the original. So here on the Horror Show, we always like to cover all of the bases as far as overall impressions, as far as story, as far as acting, as far as effects, and you know, photography, and you know, score and music and things like that. Long story short, I am not fond of this film. Really am not. It's probably, since I haven't seen the Riverdale episode because I don't watch the Archie show, I can't compare it to that, and I've only seen bits and pieces of the musical that are like floating around on you know, the YouTubes and stuff like that. But as it stands, with comparing the miniseries or the TV film, because it's much longer than both the original De Palma or this Kimberly Peirce version, this is my least favorite adaptation of Carrie, my least favorite version of Carrie. I feel like the actress in the TV version, but especially Sissy Spacek, they really embodied the peculiar vulnerability, I guess, much more so, of Carrie White in comparison with Chloe Grace Moretz. Was just drastically miscast, in my opinion. It ends up feeling more like a, oh boy, I don't know, like a My Fair Lady, She's All That kind of vibe, you know, in comparison with Carrie. And I know that, you know, King was, in all likelihood, deriving some inspiration from that story with, you know, with Carrie anyway. But she's too pretty. She's a little cutie pie, and like roles like Hit Girl and other things that she's already done previously just predispose audiences, in my estimation, to just that we don't buy into her as Carrie White. And honestly, I don't like her performance very much either. The rest of the cast is actually pretty good. Judy Greer as the gym teacher is one of the welcome additions. Also, Kid from Baby Driver as Tommy. He's actually pretty damn good. He doesn't really have a lot to do. But, you know, I don't like Julianne Moore as Margaret White. So, yeah, I mean, we'll get into acting and story and stuff like that. But, yeah, overall impressions, they made it a little slicker, I guess, you know, but I really don't think it's technically more masterful in any way, shape, or form. And it really doesn't warrant an R rating. This could have been a PG-13 film. Everybody knows we don't get any carnage in Carrie until the end anyway. But even when we do get it, it's like, I think The Rage Carrie 2 is far more violent than this film once stuff really gets cranking and going. I mean, the suicide of the girl early on, Minu Savari's character, where she jumps off the building and stuff, and I don't know, this film just really doesn't do it for me. I feel like they take the venom out of the story big time in this, and the performances are just okay. A lot of miscasting, and it doesn't bring anything new or intriguing to the table, and it's in a lot of ways a less technically sound, like shot, like scene for scene remake. So they could have, I would have appreciated something different, and I feel like Brian Fuller did do something a little bit more faithful and a little bit different. The girl was the proper awkwardness and stuff, and just the look in I guess let's jump into story. You know, everybody knows this story. It's in the lexicon, it's in the zeitgeist, you know, of pop culture. So Carrie White, awkward loner girl. Essentially, she gets her first period in the shower at school, and her mother has not told her about any of this stuff, so she thinks she's bleeding to death and dying, and her gym teacher kind of tells her what's up, and this girl, Sue Snell, who is kind of initially chastising and picking on her and stuff, her conscience kicks into gear, and she feels bad and convinces her boyfriend Tommy to take her to prom. You know, just to do a sweet thing for this girl, even though Carrie knows well enough the entire time. She's like, "You're with Sue Snell," and he's like, "Yeah, but I'm trying to do something nice for you." I've still never liked the intentions of the Sue Snell character in this story. It's never really made very much sense to me. It feels very forced and very put on, and I guess it's just Carrie's loneliness that really is why she even decides to go and stuff. And you can tell Tommy's kind of like, there's a little bit of a spark, but I don't know. People like Tommy and Sue Snell they're fucking schmucks in my opinion. Yeah, said it, did it. Carrie's mother, the reason she hasn't told her about periods and all this other stuff is because she thought about not even having Carrie, killing her at birth, whatever, and she is religiously fanatical, but that's something they definitely downplay in this particular version. Many of the few alterations that they do, they take the bite out of Margaret White, and she is one note and boring, and she is not legit religiously scary like the other versions, the other portrayals that we've seen. And so yeah, Carrie ends up going to prom. Her telekinetic, powers come to play after she gets pig's blood dumped on her, and carnage ensues, and she kills all the kids at the dance pretty much, and then goes and destroys the town, and then, so on and so forth. And but segueing into portrayals, like I said, I don't like Chloe Grace Moretz in this particular role. She just doesn't do it for me. Miscast, massively miscast in my opinion. The girl playing Sue Snell is pretty good. And also, as I said, the kid, I really dig the kid from Baby Driver, man. He's awesome. Love Baby Driver, one of my favorite movies of the last few years. Really, really, really good. Edgar Wright knocked it out of the park with that movie. And also Judy Greer, I feel like brings a little bit more dimension to the Carrie, and a little bit more just compassion to the gym teacher and stuff. And so she's actually one of the best things about this. But Julianne Moore is one note, boring, not scary. I don't like her performance in this. I really don't. She's not locking Carrie up in the closet and all this other crazy stuff that made Margaret White on par with, with like an Annie Wilkes and some of these other just femme fatale crazy bitches that Stephen King has written before. Yeah, Julianne Moore is pretty terrible in this movie, I gotta say. And I don't know that she's a fantastic actress. I don't necessarily think it's her fault. It's the way they decided to defang and declaw the character in this, and it just doesn't bring the oomph that is necessary. So yeah, that's pretty much the gamut of the actors and stuff in this. When we do finally get the carnage and that whole iconic scene goes down and stuff, it's not as brutal as the one at the party in The Rage Carrie 2, or in my opinion, as brutal as, even the one in the TV series in some ways. They did Carrie for TV. That didn't warrant an R rating. They bring in some CGI for when, she's going after the pig blood dumpers and stuff, when she's wrecking up the car. This is not a good movie, guys. This is not a good movie. I know Cecil disagrees with me about this one, and this is one the critics were mixed about too. Some gave it favorable scores. When you wait long enough, it's apparently warrantable and okay. To remake something like this, King didn't think it was necessary, although Stevie K suggested Lindsay Lohan in the role. I was like, what are you talking about, Sai? Anyway, so it's bloody eventually, but the stylized aspects of this, it's decently shot, but in my opinion, there's a reason why Kimberly Peirce has only directed like 3 things in her entire career. Stop Loss. I know Boys Don't Cry, but Boys Don't Cry was more for the script and for the Hilary Swank performance that won an Oscar, more so than the direction behind it, in my opinion. So I don't know. Kimberly Peirce, in my opinion, is just not that talented of a director, and it shows that a woman's touch didn't necessarily bring about the intended results and stuff. So, I don't know. The score is not memorable. Some of the silly music that they use, the yeah, when they're showing up at the dance and stuff, and the montage music when they're trying on the tuxedos and everything, it's just cheese, dick, and stupid. And that's not to say, as I mentioned before, that there were indeed parts in the original Carrie that were hokey and goofy and silly and whatever, and PJ Souls is a flippin' goof with her goddamn hat all the time and stuff, totally. But I don't like this movie. I don't like this movie. I don't despise it or hate it, but it just was unnecessary, which is really the general consensus about it. It missed the mark, and if you have the Blu-ray like I do here, you know, shocking alternate ending, whatever. And there's some deleted scenes and stuff like that, some document. I mean, there's a wealth of supplemental features, but when you're not really into the movie, who gives a shit, you know? So yeah, that's looking. This has basically been the Carrie comparison, and looking back and just really saying that please don't give us another version of this. There's a part of me that honestly wants to watch the Riverdale episode, but then again, I would have liked to have seen the musical in its entirety. I've heard the musical's pretty good, you know? It was popular enough to get an off-Broadway revival, so that says something, at least. If any of you Hail to Stephen King watchers here have some sort of link to a bootleg or whatever, I would love you forever if you send it to me. That would be pretty sweet. So, but yeah, end of the day, I do not like the remake of Carrie. I just don't. It's forgettable. But hey, 5 years later, I wanted to give it a revisit because I honestly hadn't even watched it since I bought this Blu-ray. So there you have it, peepers. That is the end of our palaver for today. But do not fret, because if you want to get interactive with myself and with the rest of the Hail to Stephen King Ka-Tet beyond the comments below, you can do that on our Facebook group, the Hail to Stephen King Facebook group. I am the sole moderator / admin on there, so I decide everybody who comes through the floodgates. We have an incredible group of peeps on there, over 300 of us now. It's not like in the tens of thousands like you see on certain other Stephen King groups and stuff like that on Facebook, which I'm a member of, but you get lost in the shuffle, you know? We have a very closely knit Ka-Tet, you know, there's so many people I could shout out, from Jacob to Jim to, you know, Andrew to Rachel to, we just have a badass just crew people, and we talk about what we're reading. Everybody keeps up on the Stephen King Book of the Month, which I announced on the previous Hail to Stephen King episode, but for the month of November, for its 35th anniversary, we are all collectively rereading Pet Sematary, and myself and Cecil Laird are going to be doing a live Hail to Stephen King episode at the end of the month, and we're going to be just talking all about it, and it's going to be a blast. It's going to be a lot of fun, so you can all share your thoughts, and it's going to be just a cool back and forth. But we post pictures of our book collections. We do Tower Tuesday and Pennywise Wednesday. You know, just it's really fun interaction for other constant readers, whether, you know, you've read every single thing and possess every King book like I do, or if you're just getting your feet wet, you know, if you saw It Chapter 1 last year and you were like, I think I want to finally start reading Cy King, well, you know, that is the place for all kinds of cool discussions. So, yes, I have been Jaime Fuego, and you can find me on all social media sectors, wasting my time with my social media addiction at Jaime Fuego, just like you see spelled below, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. I am officially relaunching the Infuegotainment YouTube on November 11th, peeps, so stay tuned to that. There will be an accompanying Patreon if you want to help me out with some of the expenses that go into producing a show, and you will get all kinds of dope swag, exclusive content. There's 3 different tiers. I'm going to be announcing that next week. And obviously here on The Horror Show, we want you to like, share, subscribe, and hit the bell that you see on this little YouTube pagey thing, because that's what gives you notifications about all of the episodes that we do. The most relentlessly vigilant collective of horror fans on the interwebs. We do 2, sometimes 3 episodes a day. We just recently reviewed the remake of Suspiria from the Call Me By Your Name director, which it's one of my favorite films of the year. Adored it. So you can check out that review. Myself, Dirk Heron, and my cohort in crime, Cecil Laird. We do movie reviews, trailer reactions, convention coverage, a weekly podcast. I mean, once again, we try to be the most prolific Fright fans on all of the YouTube, so we appreciate all of the support. And until next time, peeps, when the Wheel of Ka comes around once more, I say, hasta luego, sin amigos. I hope that we get to interact with one another, like on the Hail Facebook group, sooner rather than later. So until then, say thank you, and remember, stay scared, and read Stephen King, because honestly, you'll get a lot more out of reading Carrie than watching this silliness.